What's up, everybody? Tim here. So, I had mentioned a while back that I was kind of slowing up for a minute because I've got a lot of things to listen to. And in that video, I also mentioned that I had, I don't know how many stacks of these crazy little inventions. I don't know if you've ever seen these before. They're really unique. Um, they're called compact discs. So, you can store a full album on these. Did you know that? And it's portable. You can take it with you. I know I've only shown vinyl. I do collect CDs. Pretty hardcore. But I wanted to establish that I was also here for vinyl. Now that there's been some blurred lines, let's all dance now. Blurred line. So now that we've had that and that dance break, I kind of want to get out and just show you some other things, because in my area, some of the things I'm looking for on vinyl I can't find, but I can find them on CD. So am I about the music, or am I only about the format? Well, it's a little bit of both. So I've got a few CD updates to do. If those offend you, I'm truly sorry, but I will title that this is a CD update. If you don't want to watch, that's fine. If you do want to watch, let's check out some stuff. First one I'm going to show, I'm familiar with the band. I'm going to see my reflection twice. It's bad enough you got to look at me once. So this is the Soup Dragons. Now everyone remembers the Soup Dragons from the 90s for the big hit songs I'm Free and Divine Thing and Mother Universe. This ain't it. This came out, this is actually before those albums came out. This is called This Is Our Art. And obviously I knew the band, but I knew that they had stuff prior, but I had never really heard it. So picked this one up, probably like $1.50. Kind of checked it out, and it's not too bad actually. This one is kind of in that alternative, the college radio lane. Enjoyed what I heard. So this one actually had I think it had a big hit in the UK. It was called The Majestic Head. I believe that was the single on that one that did big in the UK. Robert Cray, this is Strong Persuader. This one got some decent play in the 80s with the song Smokin' Gun. Actually saw him open up for Clapton. Was it the August tour? Maybe. My memory is not good. What I took away from seeing him live, hell of a blues man. But what I took away from him was that he had very high energy. He was just very animated and he was excited to be there. And you know what? It was a joy watching him. I haven't really heard from him much. I don't know what he's doing. So obviously a classic here. This is Stripping the Live Fantastic. Now this is the highlight CD. I do want to get the 2-disc, but I was glad to get this one. The reason why I like this one as well is, although it's a great live album and I think it's a great live set, sometimes you just kind of want sometimes you're in for a smaller meal. You don't want to hear the 2 discs. And this one's a good one to roll around to in the car, in my opinion. It's got everything you want to hear live from the set, and it's packaged very well. So would like to get the full set either on CD or vinyl. Preferably vinyl, since I have the highlights on CD. Now I'm pretty sure I already have a copy of this floating around somewhere, but I saw it for $1 and couldn't say no. John Mayer, Room for Squares, his official major label debut. Now, I know when he came out, he was very pop-oriented, and that's kind of changed, but, from this album, you wouldn't have heard it, that he was just a hell of a guitar player. What interested me was some of his wordplay, and I thought he had some very clever lyrics, and obviously this kind of falls into that more pop and adult contemporary, or adult alternative stuff, along with this guy, David Gray. This is White Ladder. Please Forgive Me was the big one off of this one. I remember listening to this when it first came out, and I don't think I ever really owned it. It's a decent listen. It's nothing that's gonna change anybody's life, but it's decent. Throw it on and enjoy it. Big Bad Voodoo Daddy's debut album I picked up. This was probably right around the time when that 50s rockabilly swing sound, the Zoot Suits, was really coming back into style. Brian Setzer had really kind of set that back off again. I remember Cherry Poppin' Daddies were out, and obviously Big Bad Voodoo Daddy, and to me it seemed like Brian Setzer and Big Bad Voodoo Daddy kind of led the charge on that. It seemed like they had the biggest success with them. It's not that I'm a huge fan of Big Bad Voodoo Daddy. I did have that CD back in the day, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. So when I saw it for $1, had to grab it. Infectious Grooves. This is a more funk-oriented version of Suicidal. Not bad. I mean, it's not their greatest, but it's a decent listen. So if you're a completist, you probably need it. Again, if you like that funk style, it's more of a think Red Hot Chili Peppers funk. So at least to me. This is Collective Soul's Blender. Now, I was a huge Collective Soul fan. Their first 2 albums, Hints, Allegations, and I think the second one was just called Collective Soul, really enjoyed. And then they kind of wavered with me. So probably by the time this first came out, the single was Why Part 2, I think it was. I hadn't really cared much for them anymore. So I 50 cents, maybe $1. So I was like, I'll give it a shot, and I was right. It just didn't do much for me. So we'll see if I keep that one around. Billy Idol's Greatest Hits. I mean, are you really gonna say no? I mean, Moni Moni, Dancing with Myself, Hot in the City, White Wedding, Eyes Without a Face, Rebel Yell, Flush for Fantasy. I mean, yes. I actually saw him in concert. It was a while ago. He was riding his fame pretty high. The Cult actually opened, which was phenomenal. I mean, seeing the Cult, that blew me away. He was egotistical as you would expect. So, yeah, I enjoyed the Cult more that night. The Corrs' debut. What was it? Their big single, was it Breathless? I think it was. It's not on this album, but just something easy and chill to listen to, something that I can play more around my wife. A lot of the stuff that I listen to, she's like, yeah, it's not really my speed, and I get it. I listen a lot more. This is Del the Funky Homo Sapien. There's a name for you. So Del, most commercially well known for his collaboration song with the Gorillaz, Clint Eastwood. And even if you don't remember the song title, Finally Someone Let Me Out of My Cage, that's Del. Very distinctive, unique sound to his voice. He's a part of the Hieroglyphics crew. Unbeknownst to a lot of people, he's actually also the cousin of Ice Cube, which has probably helped him get signed. He's an interesting lyricist. I think the big one on this one was a song called Mr. Dabalina, and it's just very catchy, very infectious, and he was part of that 90s, I guess you can call it backpack rap movement, where it was like Tribe Called Quest and Gang Starr. He kind of fit in that lane. It's not hard, it's not pop, it's not urban street, but thoroughly enjoyable. I really enjoyed that. My wife is a huge Buffett fan, so whenever I see Buffett out cheap, I'm going to grab them. This is Buffett Hotel, and I actually haven't given this one a spin yet. Kind of waiting for a night where we can, uncork a bottle and just kind of sit back and relax. This one is Bob James and David Sanborn. I am a big Bob James fan. David Sanborn, I'm not saying he's horrible, but I bought this more for Bob James. I haven't given it a listen yet, and I really should. Maybe I'll throw that one in the car. Love this movie, Moulin Rouge. I thought it was very well done. And who the hell knew Ewan McGregor could sing? So I saw this one for $1, and I had to grab this one. This is the soundtrack. It's got a Bowie track on there, Nature Boy. just I love the mashups and how they incorporated the music and the feel with a couple different things. Sorry, I'm kind of sorting because I know I have some other things. So this one is live, Secret Samadhi. This one obviously is right in the prime wheelhouse of when they were big. Rattlesnake, Lakini's Juice. I think there was a couple other singles on this one. I actually really started to enjoy them. I think it was actually right when their bigger album. I think it was on Fontana. Mental Jewelry came out and had a song Pain Down by the Riverside. I think it was what it was called. And I remember hearing that one. I was like, wow, it was really good. Throwing Copper, I really enjoyed, except for Lightning Crashes. Obviously, it's a sad song, but man, did it get overplayed. But I really like some of their album cuts, so I was glad to have picked that one up. Showed this one in the video that I did today. I was cruising around listening to this one today. This is the Propeller Heads. Decks and Drums and Rock and Roll, obviously a play on the sex, drugs, and rock and roll. This is part of that whole like mid-90s electronic, I call it breakbeat. You know, the Chemical Brothers and DJ Shadow kind of fit into that to some extent, but he was more of a trip hop lane, I would say. He kind of crossed both, I guess. It's more upbeat, mid to upper tempos. The big hit on this one was History Repeating by them with Shirley Bassey singing. It's just a great song. But it's also got De La Soul on there and Jungle Brothers, so that fits right in my wheelhouse. REM's Dead Letter Office. This was a collection of like B-sides and things like that from their earlier years. Think like Murmur, maybe Document. So this was kind of like right before they exploded. I mean, college radio obviously had a long time love affair with them, but they really exploded with I think it was Document. I think it was when they really just hit the stratosphere and just didn't look down. Concrete Blonde, Walking in London. Not their biggest one. The one before it. Oh, I can't remember the name of it. I'm sure someone's yelling at me. It's like right there and I can't think of it. Anyway, I'm not going to hold the video for 17 hours while I think about it. That was their kind of big breakthrough album for Concrete Blonde, but I actually really enjoyed their sound. This one I remember I think there was one single I remember off of it. Ghost of a Texas Ladies Man. I remember hearing that one for a minute. But it's also got a great cover of It's a Man's World, James Brown classic. Very bluesy. It's very but it's also like the singer, she accentuates it wouldn't be anything without a woman or a girl. So really it's a really powerful rendition and worth checking out. This is Ray LaMontagne. This is Ouroboros. So when Bill Helmut Diggy was making videos, and if you see this, Bill, we love you, we miss you, come back when you're ready, and thank you for your kind words. I really do appreciate it. He'd shown this and he was playing it in the background. It just struck me. It just it was one of those things that it sounded interesting, and I had seen this at a Target and it was clearanced out for like $4, and I was like, well, I've got to jump on that. As I just toss it, I got to jump on that, and I got to say, I really enjoyed it. It's this is going to sound horrible, but it sounds like something you might hear playing out of Urban Outfitters, but it's good stuff out of Urban Outfitters. You walk in and you're just like, oh God, you're playing this crap. That would be the good stuff that they might play. Really atmospheric. I really enjoyed that one. A couple more. I will say these last two. So, Golden Earrings, Greatest Hits, obviously Radar Love, obviously Twilight Zone. Those are going to be on there. But they really got into some really great album cuts. Like She Flies on Strange Wings. I really, was really happy to see the Vanilla Queen. Mad Love's Gone. So this one kind of stayed in the car for a little bit once I first got it. I was happy to have that one. This one I want to say is probably at least our second copy. If I see it, I will always pick it up because I can't not have a clean copy of this soundtrack in my collection. Gross point blank. So, I mean, when I first saw this movie, I was like, man, this music is really my youth, my teenage years. The Jam, Clash, Faith No More, the Specials. Love the Specials. English Beat, or if you're in the UK, the Beat, which send me some English Beat. I need some. I can't find a decent prices here. Johnny Nash, love that, just the use of that opening scene. If you've seen this movie, love that. Queen and David Bowie. So this is just, like I said, this is my at least second copy. It may even be my third. There are just some CDs that need to stay in the car, stay in the house. That's one of them. And then lastly, this album does not need any introduction. I mean, what can you say about that album? It's considered the grandfather of heavy metal. You know, they down-tuned everything, played heavy. Everything was sadistic and just dark. Even the cover. I mean, you look at that cover. Minus the glare. Tell you what, let's get it out of the case. We've all seen it. We all know this album, right? You know, I remember being a kid flipping through my uncle's, you know, albums, looking for stuff, being curious, and seeing this, and it was like, and it's flipping on by. So, you know, look at it. It's creepy. It just makes you want to go, oh, I'm scared. I don't want to listen to it. But very fond memories of this album. When I first heard it as a kid, it terrified the absolute hell out of me. And then I became a rebellious teenager and, you know, did things. And then that album became oh so important. So, need it on vinyl, but you know, for now, since I've got this, to be honest with you, I have a CD changer in the house. Since I've picked that CD up, it hasn't left. It's always in there. I'll change other things, but that one is always in there because when I'm in the mood, nothing else will sound just as good as that. So there we go. CD update 1 in the books, in the can, whatever you want to call it. Hopefully I didn't ramble on too much. And I know I got to try to get my videos out. I'm trying to go for the 15-minute sweet spot because I tend to ramble on. But want to get through some of these so I can get them out of the living room. My wife will stop yelling at me. Why you got CDs everywhere? Because I do. So everybody, thank you so much. I appreciate all the kind words. I appreciate all the love, the likes, the comments, the subscriptions. I know I say this pretty much all the time, but really, it means a lot. It really does. So, thanks for watching. Thanks for stopping by. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for making funny faces. Thanks for picking your nose and flicking at me. Whatever it is that however you enjoy my videos, I'm not here to judge. To all my friends in all the different communities all over the world, thanks for watching. Peace.